You ever have one of those moments where you're just standing there jaw clenched thinking, is this seriously my life right now? Because let me tell you, nothing prepares you for the day your HOA president screams at you from across your own dock. You're violating community standards, and I'm calling the police right now, all because you put up a little sign on your own property. That's how I knew my quiet, peaceful life by the lake was about to go off the rails in the most ridiculous way possible. Let me rewind just a bit, because honestly, the way I turned her own rules around on her, you'll see it's one of those stories you can't make up. My name's Caleb. I'm 32 graphic designer by trade, and for years I busted my tail in the city, tiny apartment, paper-thin walls, neighbors who fought at 2 a.m. and dreams that stretched way further than my paycheck. My dad passed when I was 12, but the man left me with one bit of gold. Sometimes you gotta stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. At the time, I didn't get it. Now those words echo in my head like a challenge. 3 years of double shifts, surviving on ramen and peanut butter, watching friends hit the beach while I pinched every penny. My apartment had more cockroaches than square footage, but I had a vision. I kept my eyes on the prize. One day I'd wake up and see water, not brick out my window. I'd have a place of my own, a little sanctuary where nobody could tell me what to do. So when I finally scraped together enough for that down payment and found a house on a quiet cul-de-sac with a dock that stretched out over clear water, I felt like I'd won the lottery. First week there, man, I was floating. Coffee on the dock, every sunrise, birds chirping, water like glass. I'd close my eyes and just let the calm sink in. It was perfect, at least until the neighbors started showing their true colors. Within 2 weeks, my private dock turned into the neighborhood's favorite hangout spot. Kids cannonballing off the end, families launching boats, teens leaving beer cans and fast food wrappers all over the place. At first I tried being the reasonable new guy, talked to a couple parents, explained the dock was private. I figured no big deal, right? There's a public access point just down the shore. Boy, was I wrong. One mom looked me dead in the eye and said, "It's just kids being kids, lighten up." Another dad accused me of being anti-community, said I should be more friendly by letting his family party on my property, apparently. And the cherry on top, someone broke my railing and just left it like I had my own personal maintenance crew standing by. That was it for me. I designed a little sign, nothing crazy, just private property. Please respect, and put it at the entrance to my dock, thinking it'd solve everything. Turns out all it did was light the fuse on a full-blown HOA war. Not even 24 hours later, I get a knock on my door. There she stands, Carolyn, 58, hair so perfect it probably has its own zip code, designer clothes, and a clipboard that looked like it could double as a weapon. She introduced herself as HOA president, which in hindsight was basically code for "I run this neighborhood and you better fall in line." She said my sign disrupted the aesthetic harmony of the community and that I needed to take it down immediately or replace it with a $15,000 approved fence built by one of their chosen vendors. I laughed, thinking she was joking. She was not joking. When I told her as politely as I could that it was my property and I'd handle things my way, the mask dropped. Cold smile, dead eyes, she threatened me with serious consequences if I didn't comply in 24 hours. Next thing I know, there's a violation letter in my mailbox, $200 fine, $50 for every day I didn't cave, and threats of legal action. The kicker, they cited community harmony and visual standards that after 6 hours of crawling through the HOA bylaws didn't exist. Not a word about private dock signage. So I sent Carolyn a meticulously detailed email quoting the actual rules and showing my sign was totally legit. You know how she responded? She didn't. No reply, no counter-argument, just silence. That's when the real fun began, because the HOA president went full stalker mode. Neighbors saw her lurking in her SUV, watching my place, making notes, filing anonymous complaints about me to the city. Even my retired neighbor, Mr. Gable, said it felt like watching a bad detective show. He'd seen her outside with a flashlight at 2 a.m. but assumed it was just me. One night my security light flipped on. I checked outside, saw a shadow moving near my dock, but I was tired, had work in the morning, so I left it alone. Next day my sign was gone, metal post bent like someone attacked it with bolt cutters. In its place, there's a shiny new HOA sign declaring the dock a community waterfront area. I was livid. That's when I decided to fight back full force. I dropped $800 on a security camera system, night vision, and all buried a new sign 3 feet deep in concrete, bolted it down so hard a tornado couldn't budge it. If Carolyn wanted a war, she was going to lose, and lose hard. And lose she did. Just 2 nights later, I caught her on camera, plain as day, trying to pull my sign out again. Wire cutters in hand, muttering about my stubbornness. The footage was perfect, her face, her car, her license plate, everything. But instead of slinking away, she doubled down. The next morning, she called the cops on me. Officer Martinez showed up, and from his face, you could tell he'd seen every neighbor feud in the book. Carolyn sat in her SUV across the street waiting to see me get dragged away. Instead, I welcomed the officer in, handed over my deed. All my HOA docs showed him the security footage and explained the whole situation methodically, calmly. Then I told him, "Actually, officer, I need to report multiple crimes by the person who called you here." He watched the video twice. The moment he saw Carolyn caught in the act, his whole demeanor changed. He walked outside, called her over, and I watched through my window as she tried to bluff, then yelled about privacy violations, then desperately insisted she was just enforcing community standards. Officer Martinez wasn't having any of it. He wrote her a citation on the spot for theft and vandalism and told her clear as day if she so much as set foot on my property again, she'd be arrested for stalking and trespassing. But here's the plot twist, one Carolyn never saw coming. See, I did some digging at the county office and found out my doc had been there 15 years before the HOA even existed, grandfathered and legally protected, immune to any of their rules. And buried deep in the HOA bylaws, the ones Carolyn wrote herself, was a rule: any board member cited for a legal violation is automatically removed from office. So, at the next emergency HOA meeting where Carolyn tried to get my doc torn out, I laid it all out: my doc's legal status, the police citation, and the bylaw she'd created to boot people off the board for even the smallest offense. The board voted 6-1. Just like that, the woman who spent 8 years terrorizing the neighborhood was gone. The room was dead silent, except for Carolyn, who promised revenge, slammed the door, and stormed out. You'd think that'd be the end, right? Not with someone like her. She started showing up at weird hours, lurking, taking photos, desperate to prove she was right all along. One morning, I caught her trespassing on my dock again, playing Queen of the Lake. This time, I filmed her myself, called Officer Martinez, and she got her second citation. Within a month, Carolyn sold her house and vanished from our lives for good. Under Mr. Gable's watch, the HOA changed for the better. Neighbors learned to respect boundaries literally. I even heard a dad explain to his son why my dock was off limits. That's private property, buddy. We need to respect that. And for the first time, it felt like justice. Real justice had been done. But sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do, it's what you don't do. Carolyn wrote her own ending by refusing to respect others, and all I did was stand my ground and let the truth come out. What about you? Ever had to face down someone who thought the rules didn't apply to them? Drop your stories in the comments. Let's hear who you sided with, or if you've ever been caught in the crossfire of HOA madness. Hit like, subscribe if you want more wild neighborhood tales. And remember, sometimes all it takes is one person saying enough for the whole story to change.